What's up, everyone? I'm Bind, and today we're going to talk about art and my opinion on it and what it actually might be. So, yeah, I know, very polarizing topic there. Let me preface this very quickly by saying I do not know the truth, okay? It's very important to understand, and frankly, nobody does. So, of course, take this with a grain of salt. Now, I, for the past few years, was not too happy, especially how the word art was thrown around, and that was mostly from people and media in the new world, right? you know who you are. I think that even though America has all the great entertainment industry and they pioneer a lot of art, at the same time, they don't have the same understanding about art than, for example, someone in Europe does. And of course, guys, I'm not talking about this is not a superiority discussion. We're all people everywhere. People have different opinions. And when I'm saying this, I mean like the average person, right? So, first of all, I want to criticize my culture because I'm from Germany. Historically, we have a lot of art, as you might be aware of. And people like to say something over here which amounts to art emerges from craftsmanship. And the reason why they say that is because the German word art and craftsmanship are very similar, as if they have some communality or some origin in common. And maybe they do, from a clear like a language perspective, but from a perspective of meaning they do not. So that is something that really I don't like this because I don't think it's true. But at the same time, that's something that you hear a lot also in the West, so meaning in over in America. People tend to say, oh, you go to art school, you learn art, 30-day course to become an artist, the 10 things you should do to become an artist, and all of that jazz, right? And I do not subscribe to this. I think it's silly. If art was craftsmanship, they would call it craftsmanship. It's not only about skill and craftsmanship, but let me elaborate. So, this is a little bit about, of course, my opinion, trying to make art for the past 25 years or something. That does not mean that I am an artist and you are not. First of all, you should not self-declare to be an artist. It's cringy. Don't, please. And second, I can very easily prove that being an artist has nothing to do with craftsmanship, frankly. Because the other thing I find very cringy is that people bring up examples of banal art, like the banana with the tape, with the duct tape, or some boys art from the 90s, and say, yeah, I can do the same, it's not art, it's so banal. Listen, if it was about that, you would be an artist, but you're not. So think first before you speak, please. So what's now with the craftsmanship? So picture this. A lot of artists nowadays can paint the Mona Lisa, no problemo, okay? It's not hard to do. But they're not famous. If they were to do it, what would happen? Nothing, because it's not about the skill alone, right? It is about everything else. The human experience, how the art emerges and where it emerges. Everything, all of that stuff matters, right? It gives it an identity. And that is the real reason, and people don't realize this, but I think that's the real reason why people don't think AI can ever be art. Because those things are missing. We know that it's not from a human. We know there hasn't gone any thought into this, any conceptual thoughts, any history, any lived experience, nothing like that. So, clearly, it's not only about skill or craftsmanship. What is it then, I hear you ask? And of course, that's a tough one. And as I said in the beginning, I don't know the truth. There is no truth about this. I think it's all of what I just said. The human experience. It's expressing yourself. And it's not about being perfect. And that goes all the way back to my catchphrase from my tutorials, where I always say, it's not about being perfect. And of course, that's a different meaning. I mean that more on a craftsmanship level when I say it, but I think it applies because frankly, you cannot be perfect, and the human experience is not perfect. And whatever you create and however you create it through your hands, it will not be perfect, right? So that's, I think, also an idea that caters to the divine, right? So we shouldn't try to be perfect. So if you're someone that wants clear answers, what is art, finally explained, revealed the truth, I think there's already a misconception in your head, right? Because you're expecting something that does not exist. You're expecting clear-cut explanation, scientific explanation of what is art, and that will never be delivered. So, my approach is this. Everything cannot be art. If you were to call everything art, then it would have no meaning, right? If making a chair is art, and building a computer is art, and every craftsman thing that you can possibly do with your hands is art, then it doesn't mean anything. And from a philosophical perspective, it doesn't mean anything, right? Because how we label stuff does not change reality. So if I were to call myself a cook, a great chef, and all the people in my surroundings would agree with that and also call me the greatest chef of all time, would not change shit, would not change the fact that I cannot cook for anything, right? So the labeling that we like to do so often, it only means something if it actually says something about reality. So if I'm a lumberjack and people call me that, and I go to the woods and get the lumber, that is a helpful description. But there's no such thing with an artist. You can label yourself an artist all day. You can label other people artists. Doesn't change anything. Doesn't change how good they do stuff, how well they express themselves, how appealing the results are. It doesn't change shit, right? So, which is also why I think it's pretty cringy to call yourself this and that and the other. I think if you're an artist, you don't need to worry about that. You just do what you do. And other people will maybe call you an artist and maybe not, and that is fine. It doesn't matter. If you can sell your paintings and you can bring them to the Louvre, to the MoMA, all over the world, and people pay millions of dollars for it, and nobody calls you an artist, doesn't change anything, right? So, I very much like to hear your thoughts about this. This was kind of a rambling video. I wanted to make this in a while, but I need to have a clear mind first. And it's not so easy for me to articulate myself always in English because, of course, it's not my mother tongue. And Everything needs to click for me to be able to think out loud like this. So leave your comments down below. Let me know what art really is. And see you next time.